Howdy folks, Rudrose here, and today I wanted to talk about my favorite deck, which is Ruby Amethyst, and kind of its place in the meta. This is not going to be a typical deck tech, this is really just going to be more of a deep dive, because Ruby Amethyst has been struggling. There was a recent, I believe, case tournament in Wisconsin, I think it was like a 5K, and 13 of the top 16 decks all had Sapphire in them. They were either a Sapphire Steel or Ruby Sapphire. This is a tournament from Southside Gaming. This was back on March 7th, so almost about a month ago now, a little less. And there's, what, 2 Ruby Amethyst decks that got listed here? And, I mean, this is everything. But yeah, top 8, nowhere to be found. So what's going on with our favorite deck? And I've heard a lot of different ways to build it. This is a version I've been testing out at my locals. I've also tested out a few other things, and I just kind of wanted to talk about some of the cards I think are working, that are not working. And in particular, I want to do a deep dive on all the new cards that we got in Amethyst and Ruby for set 7. I always give them, a good hard look when the set first comes out, and I didn't really find anything that really stood out to me that's amazing, but I want to make this deck work, so we're going to go through every single Amethyst and Ruby card from set 7, and we're just going to see, did we miss anything? Is there something here that maybe reads better than not? Odds are probably not. I will be surprised if I discover something incredible at the end of this, but nonetheless. So the version I've been running, I pretty much immediately switched to Cusco as soon as we saw the start of the set and how Sapphire Steel was going to go. It's just a nice 2-drop that if they immediately get rid of it with a Bell, Storm Rage on, whatever, at least it's getting you a card back. It's also why I think Diablo needs to be your 4-of slot for your 1 slot. I was more than happy to mix up Chernobog and Magic Broom. But you need cards, and you need cards that you're going to assume are going to get banished right away, and are going to give you some value back. I also think Cusco in particular works very well with the Crab. A Cusco, Crab powered up Cusco can take out a Scrooge McDuck, which is very intimidating, as well as a Bell. The Diablo can too, but this helps it hit Scrooge, which is very nice. Other than that, I think Sisu's still very strong. I think the whole Merlin Mim package is very strong and very key. So part of the inspiration for this video too is that my buddy Garrick released this video about the state of Ruby Amethyst, and it had Edmund Chu on there, Vervillain, Ferrante Terrace, and they all talked about things they thought worked for the deck and things they didn't think they thought worked. So it's a really good video. I'm going to put the link in the description below, so I'd highly recommend you check it out. It was a very enjoyable watch. And one of the things Ed said, and talking about locations, because that's been kind of the new thing, is like, well, a big thing has been pivoting to these locations because it goes pretty well against something like Sapphire Steel, that none of these characters are going to have Rush, so they're going to have to take the time to challenge these locations. And I do find it's kind of odd this is being touted as like a new style of the deck, because we've been doing this since set 3, since Queen's Castle came out. Dropping a Queen's Castle, why it works so well on this list is because Be Prepared, is that locations are immune to Be Prepared, and since a lot of decks don't have a lot of spot removal, they rely on characters to mostly challenge them, other than a few exceptions, Hideaway Cusco, that the Be Prepared really helped seal your location victory, because it would just sit there and continue to gain lore while you just kept clearing the board over and over again. However, this has gotten weaker with cards like Pete, because Pete just shuts off your Be Prepared for a turn, so it's just not as good as it was. I think the library is fantastic right now. It does make me sad to see the Queen's Castle go down a little bit, but I actually still like this card. I've still found success with it, especially since you don't see as many Half Sharks. That was kind of one of the reasons I thought this card got a bit weaker, is the Half Shark could one-shot it. But since I see less of those, not that they've disappeared entirely, but at least less, the 2 lore pressure from this is huge. And in that video, I actually really agree with what Ed said, where I'm just not a big fan of the Fairy Ship and the Forbidden Mountain. They're okay. I've tried them, and they're fine. I genuinely don't think they're bad, but I don't think these are amazing. I think what makes Library and Castle so good is not just the lore. The lore is kind of incidental, as Ed said, that you have the chance to draw cards. The amount of games I've won just from the library's draw power, that I'm moving my Diablo there or my Cusco, and now I'm drawing 4 cards instead of just 2 when I B-prep, is great. I think Fairy Ship is fine. It feels very underwhelming going second. So, like, if they go first and they do Popsicle into a Bell, and then I drop Fairy Ship, they'll challenge it with the Bell. A lot of times they'll follow up with Tipo, Oswald, or whatever, and then they can just finish it off the next turn with Tipo, and I gained a whole lore out of it. Like, I guess I prevented the Bell from questing for a turn, but usually that 1 lore is not the difference between winning or losing, because the Tamito is just going to dime and get 20 lore in 1 turn anyway, which we've seen many, many times. So I think these are fine. These are okay in the late game because, again, they synchronize well with Be Prepared. But I definitely don't agree with Taurus that, like, this is the way to play it and it makes the deck so unbeatable. I think it's fine, but it's just fine. Friends is still essential. Dragonfire is like, I still don't like this card. I think it's very bad, and I think this is a sign of where the game is at that people have talked about. We just got to start playing Dragonfire now. So why do I have to play the bad cards? Why do I have to put in bad, overcosted removal while they get to play cards like Tamatoa and Scrooge and Bell? We're not playing the same game. We are not playing the same game. Dragonfire is very good against this Tamatoa because the problem was, as you can see, this particular list isn't running a Tremaine or a Medusa, is that Tremaine struggles to hit this because they can put out so many cards for free, the Bell, the Scrooge, that there's usually more than enough bodies on the board. Yes, Tremaine is still very good at following up after Be Prepared if they drop something big, but she can't naturally hit this card unless it's alone, which is pretty rare. And then Medusa can't hit any of these cards either. Medusa is still best at essentially taking out Flowersham. Like, they don't care if you Medusa their Bell. They didn't pay anything for it. They don't care if you Medusa their Pete. It already did what it was supposed to do. So she feels bad too. So in those situations, yeah, Dragonfire has felt necessary, but it still doesn't feel good. So I might take this out, switch them back. I don't know. I just don't know if there's a better answer than this. Brawl, again, feels very weak against this deck in particular. It hits Flaversham. That's basically it. Yeah, it can hit Oswald too. Not all the versions are running Oswald. In the Ruby Sapphire versions, definitely are not running Oswald, so it's basically in there for Flaversham. Other than that, there's just a ton of targets. Brawl cannot hit anyone, so that feels bad. Maui is very good at punishing Tamatoa once he is quested, but if he's quested, they've paid 6 to get back 2 items, probably 2 Popsicles or a Popsicles Fortisphere, and then they play a Lucky Dime for free usually. Like, so yeah, the Maui then punishes him, but it doesn't do anything. I mean, not that it doesn't do anything, but it's too late. It doesn't matter when they've already gotten that much value off the Tamatoa. You then running a Maui in there, it's kind of like too little too late. So the Queen is the only other new card I'm running, and the reason I only have 1 copy in here is because until just the other day, I actually only had a single copy of this. I probably will try more. I think this card might be best if it comes down early, because ideally you want it to come down and then knock away all their items before the Tamatoa can get to it, right? I don't think I've ever resolved her for more than a single lore count, oftentimes 4 because of the Bell, and she does synchronize well with that this Bell is a princess, so you usually will be able to get that target, and she exerts for 4. And I think paying 4 for a card that then gets you 4 lore the next turn, I do think that's fine, even if she gets banished right after that. It's still a little slow, and the problem is it's really more effective for getting your own lore than it is shutting off their game plan. Because look at it this way. They go first, right? They do whatever, turn 1, Bell, Popsicle, whatever. Turn 2, they ramp with Tipo or Sail or whatever their preferred whatever their preferred method is. This list isn't running Sail. But most of the lists I see are, Sail on 2. So on their turn 3, they're dropping their 4-drop. On their turn 4, they're dropping a 5-drop, which means on my turn 4, I get to play the Queen, which means on their turn 5, because they have 6 ink, they play Tamatoa. So he scoops those 2 items back. So I can't even use the Queen before the Tamatoa recurs the items. Now that's different if I go first, but the game in general is easier if I go first. So while I really do like this card, it just doesn't really compare to some of their powerhouse cards because you still have to pay 4 for it, and then it still has to sit there a turn. Despite all the complaints about Ruby Amethyst going way back to set 1, set 2, and don't get me wrong, the deck was absurdly strong back then. The Merlin Mim package is insane, and it's what's continues and has always carried the deck. Yes, if you can look back at past videos of mine where I've called for bans for those cards because they were so absurd. But this deck has always at least had to pay for what it does. The only ink cheating this deck has ever done is singing Friends on the Other Side with 3-drop Maleficent or Sisu or Crab, Fox, whatever. That's it. Other than that, Ruby Amethyst is fair in the sense that it has to pay for all its cards. This deck has so many cards it does not have to pay for. The majority of its items, especially its high-cost items, the majority of its songs, it usually just sings. It doesn't even have to pay for these. Scrooge, Bell. We don't get a bunch of free stuff like this deck does. So that's just kind of where it's at right now. It's very much a work in progress. So let's look at the new cards we got in set 7, and let's see if there's anything new that we got that can compare to the level of just the insane blue cards from this set. Here we go. Dreamborn, I absolutely adore your site, but if you see this, if you could add a way to filter out the Dual Ink cards both ways, so make it so I can just eliminate those when I don't want to see them, but also I can specifically search for those when I want to see them, that would be great. Because like right now, a bunch of cards come up that, yeah, we can't play because they're Dual Ink cards. So our first card's Cusco, Temporary Whale. 5 uninkable, already don't like it. And the stat line's awful. This is going to get banished by a Zeus or a Brawl or a Sisu. They don't even need the Brawl. They don't even need the Sapphire Coil. So what's its effect? Once during your turn, whenever card's put in your inkwell, you may return chosen character, item, or location with cost 2 or less to their player's hands. Then they draw a card. So this does nothing on turn 5. We're not playing a ramp color, so I can't benefit immediately. It has to sit there a whole turn. Just why? What do I want to return? Probably my own cards. I don't want to. What do I want to bounce a popsicle so they can draw a card off of that? No thanks. So what am I bouncing in my own deck? I guess I could protect my Diablo, but I kind of want these to get banished anyway. Yeah. This card ain't it. This is completely blank. This is Illusions, which we're not playing. Honey Marin is okay. Honey Marin is genuinely okay, but if we're going, if we're not a instant lore deck. Like there are versions of this, right? There's the burn version where you play the Thievery and you play the Super Goof, and you play Gathering Knowledge and Wisdom, and the new This Is My Family. And maybe this is the way this deck should go. Maybe it should lean more into the burn version. I don't know how that's going to perform against Sapphire, Steel, Ruby, Sapphire, but we can try that. But that's what this card is for. Like, I don't want to be playing this card early, so this card is fine. It's just, I don't think it's for this version. Iago, especially with Steel being prominent, it's so easy to get rid of this guy. Any of those songs will get rid of him, and he's just, again, he's a 4-cost that doesn't do anything, and our 4-cost slot is already so contested. Do I want to play him over a Goat, Merlin? The Queen's also slow, but at least she has a huge payoff. Like, it's nice. If the Iago could answer the Tamatoa, I might like him a little better. But he can't even banish the Tamatoa. All he really is taking out is the Scrooge. He's still not answering the Flaversome. So, like, if he can answer more of those problem cards, I might be a little more into him. But as he is, no. Chernabog, 5 uninkable like the Cusco. That's not good. Each opponent chooses and exerts one of their ready characters. So, again, if we could choose, in theory, this could be okay, right? That they drop their Tamatoa, I answer with Chernabog, and I essentially freeze it and say, all right, well, you're not going to get the quest. You're not going to get that item, which then allows me to do the Maui on the next turn, right? But they get to choose. So, like the Tremaine situation, unless this Tamatoa is alone, they're just going to choose their Tipo or their Bell or some other card they don't care about. So not working. Jafar's Dual Link. Speaking of Dual Links, well, if it isn't the Ruby Amethyst Dual Links, a.k.a. the biggest disappointments in this set. So Hades... Okay, 6 cost uninkable, so he's in the Tremaine Medusa slot. He has better stats than both of them. That part is nice. And he does quest for 2. This part is nice. When you play this character, you may deal 2 damage to another chosen character of yours to banish chosen character with cost 3 or less. So in theory, there's some potential here, right? Especially if we are running a card like Cusco. The idea that, okay, well, I can put 2 on my Cusco, and then... no big deal, because I draw off of him, and hey, maybe he's at the library, so I draw anyway. Or maybe I purposely banish my crab that then powers up something else. Like, there's an idea here, right? But what are we banishing then for cost 3 or less? Again, I mentioned earlier, right, that Tremaine and Medusa were feeling bad because they didn't have any targets. I can't even hit Flaversham with this. In this list, I can hit Oswald or Tipo or Pete or Bell. Pete or Bell are terrible targets. Tipo's a so it's like Oswald. Like... What? That's it? Maybe in a red-blue list, I can hit, what, the Sisu to potentially prevent a shift line? That's it? Like, it'd be good against aggro, kind of, except it's very slow. Although Medusa at least just outright takes it out the turn she comes down, the set 3 Medusa, and she doesn't have this condition. What if my board's empty, and I play this Hades, and now I don't have this effect? This is just way too conditional. Like, I like the stats on this guy, but just... yeah, it's just terrible. That's too conditional. If Medusa's already feeling conditional, this guy is way too conditional. This card is awful. It's even bad at milling. Again, just too conditional. And Tekka, I would legitimately run this Tekka if it worked the way it should, which is that what it should do is when you play it, it immediately checks, is anything on their board exerted? Banished. Gone. And that's how it reads. Whenever an opposing character is exerted, banish them. If they have an exerted character, it is exerted. And if they didn't want it to work that way, which it works that the character needs to become exerted, which is also how the text should read, because this text makes it work the way I think it works. Like, it should say, whenever an opposing character becomes exerted, banish them. Why? I would have 100% run this as a 6 cost to shift it. This is a 10 cost card locked into 2 elements that have no ramp. If I am waiting till turn 10, and have you played against the Diggy Diggy Hole deck? Have you played against these decks with their super lore gain from Lucky Dime Tamatoa? These decks can win before turn 10. You want me to wait to turn 10 to play this? Then when I play this, this better win the game for me. This better essentially read, you win the game. It should absolutely banish anything on their side that is exerted. It should also banish any items they have that are exerted. Wow, imagine that. Ruby Amethyst, a way to actually answer a Lucky Dime, so that when they flip this off Oswald on turn 3, I don't just have to sit there, oh, that's it. It's going to stay there for the rest of the game. Like, it's insane. This is a 10 cost card. This needs to essentially win me the game when I play it, and it does absolutely nothing. What a disappointment. Elsa, I mean, we'll have to play the Annas, all that for 1 lore. No thanks. When this character quest exert, I mean, this is just Ursula, right? This is just this card, except it's 1 cheaper, and it has worse stats, less lore. Like, the only advantage is it's 1 cheaper. This one even has a shift target. If we wanted to, you could break out the old purple Ursula from like set 4, I think it is, the Challenger one. And this one actually has just a passive effect, which just says, hey, people can't sing while I exist. That's like, yeah, why we would just play that Ursula. Cobra's Dual Ink. Taka is okay. It's just slow. Like, the fact that it hits a 7/6 is nice. It could take out opposing locations. Not that anyone really is running that, but it doesn't take out a McDuck Manor. It can't hit a shark because he's evasive. It hits for 5 naturally, so it can already take out the small Tammy. And again, but Maui can do that while rushing, and it still doesn't take out this Tamatoa. Like, maybe if it took out the big Tamatoa, there could be something here, because, okay, at least I have a way, once they exert that card, I'm taking it out. But then again, they've already got whatever item value out of it. Yzma, characters banished. If you have more cards in your hand than each opponent, you may return this card to your hand. I mean, why? Why do I care that I can keep getting a 2/1 back over and over again? That I then I don't want to spend 2 ink on this every turn. Bucky, my spoiler. If this drew a card simply for being banished, just like Cusco, if this was just the next version of Diablo Cusco, would we even want to play it then? Do I want to wait till turn 3 when they have a turn 1 bell that can then sing Storm on this and knock it out? Like, at least it would replace itself, but it's just too slow. Okay, this is too slow for turn 3. Pain is Olaf. Nothing special here. Raja is okay. I think this is a little better against Sapphire, although again, Sapphire can now just go, oh, okay. And this happens to me constantly at locals. Well, I put a coil out on turn 2. I don't need to ramp because I'm just going to remove anything you put down, and then I ink for turn and I play Sisu. And then now my 3/3 just gets banished. It feels awful, so I don't really think he's the answer, and then he's going to get taken out by Storm Rage on, which feels bad. Kronk is dual element. Mother Gothel. Whenever one of your characters challenges, you can move 1 damage counter from chosen character chosen. Okay, maybe there is potential here. This one, at least, 1 damage counter from chosen character to chosen opposing character. It's kind of a shame it doesn't work within the challenge itself, because it triggers when they challenge, not when the challenge is completed, so the challenging character doesn't have damage, because that'd be kind of neat, actually. But it's a 1/4, same stats as a Cusco, obviously. That just is going to sit there, and then it requires other stuff. Like, I don't know. It's what, 3? What, do I want to take a crab out for that? Or a fox? Or a Sisu? I don't think I do. Or Friends, or Brawl. Like, or any of those, or Library. All those cards are better than this Dual Link. So while I think there's at least potential here with some damage shifting, like, it's too situational versus all these other cards that they do the thing I need them to do. Those are all Dual Links. I actually think Kanai is okay. Challenger 2, except the only thing I don't like is that he has to be banished during your turn, so he has to be taking something out by attacking it. So he could attack into a Scrooge, but then he doesn't even get rid of the Scrooge. Yeah, you get it back, but again, then I have to, spend another 3 ink to replay him to wait? I get a lore out of it, but I get the same thing for a goat. Yeah, just a weird slow card. Donald, I don't see. I mean, this is kind of okay against Steel because he has 6 willpower, so it means he will survive a single Zeus. But gosh, they get so much lore off a dime, and by the time I play this, I'm in B prep range. Like, that's what I need to be doing. And if I play the Donald only delays the inevitable. Let's say by playing Donald, I now, they can only get to 22 this turn. Well, now what do? If I take the Donald off the board, I just lose, so I can't even B prep him. Chances are his 3 lore just isn't going to do much. So, like, it's a cute idea, but I just can't see this being practical. Touch on the Queen, she's at least worth it. Pain is essentially smaller Bell. Move 2 damage counters from chosen character to chosen. Maybe there's something here. I'm trying to think what you would do. So maybe like on turn 3, if you run in with a Crab or a Sisu, or maybe you foxed something, but I think you need a character to be around, right? Yeah, so like if you foxed something the turn before and the fox is still around, you could play the Panic and shift it over there, and then you've got a 2 lore quester that at least has 3 health. He's okay. Again, he costs 4. I can't see putting him in over Merlin, over the Merlins or the Queen or even the Castle, but okay, there's potential here. There's at least potential with this card, similar to the other damage shifting, but this is again a situation where he just comes down alone. He's just a worse, goat or genie or rabbit. So, yeah. Archimedes is just awful. Why would they choose this? This card has no threat to it. Why would they choose this card? Why doesn't this card quest for like 3 to make them want to choose it? Or I don't know. This card's blank. We aren't singing enough songs to justify her. This card is okay. Has potential. Return chosen character of yours to your hand. Exert chosen character. So what am I exerting? I need something to challenge it. Like, again, it's just too situational. What am I taking out to make room for that as a 2-cost song? When these 3 action songs I think are pretty much essential. Yeah, I don't see that. This is My Family is a good card, but again, it only really fits in, I think, in the lore burn version. And it's uninkable, and we're already at, I think I'm around 12. This one actually is a little cheaper. This one is about 10. So we could afford a couple more uninkables, but I don't know what I'm cutting for that. It's not really Better Friends. I think this would go well in a more lore burn version, but not in this version. Show me more. We do not want to give them more cards. This only works if you're trying to mill them out. That's Dual Ink. What does the Amethyst Coil do? What does our coil do? They get the Sapphire Coil. We get a 3-cost uninkable. If we put a card into our inkwell, I can move 1 damage counter from chosen character to chosen opposing. Again, like in theory, if this stuck around, yeah, but it's so... The Sapphire Coil just does everything the moment it's down. Okay, from now on, whenever you ink, it says all your removal is just that much better forever. And this is inkable and it's cheaper. They want me to pay more for this, so it essentially can't do anything the turn it comes down because we've already inked for turn. We don't have a way to extra ink. So out of all these Amethyst cards, excluding like the lore burn ones, the Queen is solid. And there's a few situational. Mother Gothel, Panic. But again, are any of those solving the problems? Or any of these dealing with these items or these turns? No, I don't think so. So, Amethyst was a bust. Let's try Ruby. Ruby starts us off with a ton of dual ink cards. We've already covered those ones. Where's our first? Grandmother Fa. 2-cost, 1/1. Terrible stats. Whenever this character quests, you may give chosen character of yours +2 strength this turn. This actually doesn't read terribly because I like the idea of, okay, I put my Diablo out on 1, right? Put her out on 2. Then she quests, and now suddenly my Diablo can hit for 2. That's kind of cool. I like a Cusco going up to a 3/2 as well, but then Cusco also shares the same slot with her. So it's just in a weird slot, and Ed said that too, is that our 2-drops in general are just very poor. We don't really have great 2-drops right now. And snake is kind of a loss of tempo if you're snaking that early. Really, you want to be snaking for a bigger effect later. So, like, I like that this quest for 2, but it's a 1/1, so anything in this deck is just going to eat it alive. Heck, even a Tipo can take her out and still live to tell the tale. That's just awful. I have heard this Queen is quite good. I have tried her a bit. She's okay. I'm not blown away by it. When it's good, it's good. I just find she's awkward that... So let's say they get their turn 1 bell, and then, okay, I put the Queen down. they're not just going to damage it, right? No intelligent player is going to just, oh, I'll just do Storm on it for no reason, and now you just have a 4/4 there. If you can get her to the 4/4, yeah, okay, she takes out the bell, she trades with the Scrooge. That's nice, but what do you do? So they quest with their bell. Do you purposely run the queen into the bell, and now she's a 4/4, but she already has 3 damage on her, so now anything a Tipo can take her out? I don't know. She hasn't felt bad, but she just... I don't think this card is it. Like, there's a reason I haven't seen it in a lot of the Ruby Amethyst lists. It's okay. Like I said, when it works, it does feel very good. I'll give it that. Matchmaker feels like it should be more in the Challenger deck. Taking lower can be okay, but even that effect has felt worse and worse against these Lucky Dime decks. Against like a normal deck, against an aggro deck, that effect's probably okay. But against these decks where they just zip to 20 lore out of nowhere, I just don't think that is going to matter. I don't think manipulating 1 lore is going to matter, and she can't even challenge till turn 5 anyway. A rush card just with poor stats. We have the Mulan who had rush and was just flip stats 4/3. Is this better than, again, Goat Rabbit? No, I don't think so. It doesn't even trade with the Scrooge. If it could like trade with the Scrooge and live, that's a little more appealing. Does the bigger one do that? I mean, no, he needs rush from this one. Again, he takes a single Lauren entry. That's just okay. This is the same cost as a Maui. On turn 5, I need to be sending a Maui into you. I can't play him hoping I've already got this guy on the board. Bell doesn't work for us. The Cybug. So we would need 2 other characters in play to make this a 3/2. That's terrible. No, genuinely, what is this card? Like, I get it's thematic because in the movie they power up by all getting next to each other. So we would need 2 other characters in play to make this a 3/2 as a 2 cost. Have you heard of Pico from set 4 that nobody played? Or Khan from set 4 that nobody played? Or all these other characters that are just 3/2s? Hey, who at least can then steal some lore from you? Like, what is this card? Why does it have this? I mean, okay, cool. It's insane if I have 5 other characters in play and now it's a 6/2. That's not helpful. That's not gonna happen. Whatever. Touch on the Stabbington brother. I mean, okay, so this one's a little more interesting because it's a 3/2 for 1, and he only needs to see a damage character, so you don't need to have a bunch. It makes the most sense with like Mother Gothel, right? You drop Gothel on 2, and then this guy's a 3/2, which is okay. That's okay. It hits the bell. We could take out their bell. We could, but do we want to play Mother Gothel in this list? She's really only good with Rapunzel. Why would I just jam Mother Gothel in here? So it's requiring now a bigger commitment. Cogsworth is bad because we don't play items. And Toby. Like, in theory, Toby could be a quote-unquote counter to the bell, right? That, they play the bell, they exert it, and then Toby goes in and finishes it off, and I only paid 1 for it. Except he's uninkable. That's bad. And he gets banished by Storm Rage on. So if they see it, if you put a Toby down because he doesn't have rush for some reason, they'll just go, oh, okay, well, I'm not going to exert the bell because then the Toby will just take it out. Like, why doesn't this card have rush? Why is this uninkable? Why did they get a free 3/3 on turn 1 and we've got to pay for whatever? These are all dual links. Moana I actually like as a card. She's evasive. She has 3 willpower, so she'll survive a storm. She has to challenge, and then she buffs something up. I mean, okay, I think there's actually potential here, right? It's slow. It's a very slow card, and again, it fits that terrible 4 slot. What am I taking out for this? Goat, rabbit, queen, castle? I don't know about that. She can at least hit evasives, not that this deck really even has evasive, so this deck doesn't care about it. It could hit little Sisu, I guess that's kind of nice. And then it could power up something else, and that is a bit appealing that, again, okay, now my Diablo hits for 3. Now my Cusco hits for 3. But we have Crab that does that, and Crab just does that immediately and can do it on exit, whereas Moana has to wait a whole turn. So again, we're not getting a new angle to this deck. We're just it's the same stuff we've always had, and she doesn't cover any base that the Crab just doesn't already cover. This is just the Stitch from, I have no idea why they legit just reprinted the Stitch from, what was that, set 3? Maurice cares about items. Right? You play this character, you banish chosen item of yours. Man, if this banished opposing items, I mean, it's a terrible body. It gets banished by Storm Rage on turn 4. But if it is, this could actually get rid of a lucky dime, man, maybe that'd be worth playing. Not that banishing items really does anything to these lists, because the Tamatoas just get them back. They really need to add exile into this game or remove it from game permanently. But if this banished an opposing item, then okay, maybe that is at least worth running just to slow them down. But as it's not, it's terrible. Goofy, you want me to spend the same cost as a B prep for a 7/6, which is a pretty solid body, even though it gets taken out by a shark. It's evasive, so it can hit the shark. And then if it challenges your other characters, get a bunch of lore. I just can't picture the situation you're in where you have a bunch of characters that can quest a Goofy you played last turn that's then sitting there ready to go. Like, so how do they come up with some of these cards? Lyle is absurdly expensive. So again, the same cost as a big Tamatoa, same cost as a Sisu. And he doesn't trigger the turn you play him because, this deck has no ramp. We're playing Ruby Amethyst. We have no way to get extra cards into our Inkwell. And then it's just 2 damage to all characters in play, including himself and including all your board. Why? For the same cost as a Sisu? And Sisu quests for the same? I don't get this card at all. Blue. I mean, let's do a little comparison, okay? I just want you to look at these 2 cards side by side. These cards were printed in the same set. The same set. These were both printed in set 7 as legendaries for their respective ink colors. Same, and they're very comparable, right? Exact same cost. This one's uninkable, so all right, it's already worse. This one's inkable. Stats are basically comparable. They're just flipped. This one has 2 lore. This one has 2 lore, so that's the same. This one, your characters with 7 strength or more can't be dealt damage. So he doesn't do anything on his own. Here's every character in Ruby and Amethyst that has 7 strength or more. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And then that one's just a promo copy of the dragon. So 12 cards. There are only, in these colors, 12 cards that Baloo can benefit. And since Baloo is a 6-drop, I shrunk it down to, okay, so what cards could he benefit immediately? Which means a card you could play on turn 5, so that when you drop Baloo on 6, a card has immediate value. There's 2. Also uninkable cards, Hercules or Denahai. I've never seen the movie. I don't know how you say the character's name. Is anyone playing these cards? Does anyone want to play these over a Maui? Hercules is obviously just worse Maui. They're uninkable. Are you playing your Baloo to get this set up? What is this doing for our deck? Versus this guy, who is absolutely happy as a clam because he gets another cracked card for some reason. And you know what? This isn't a Ruby Amethyst card, but I want you to indulge me on this tangent for a moment because I need to show you this comparison. Look at these 2 cards. These 2 cards came out in the same set. These are both from set 7. They are both legendaries in their respective ink colors. They are both 6 costs. Look at these cards side by side. Tremaine loses the ink battle, uninkable. It's the worst card. Stats, way worse than Tamatoa. It's the worst card. Lore, similar. That's the only thing they have equal. Effects, Tamatoa has an effect on entry, and then an effect as it quests. Questing, which is good because questing is what wins you the game. Tremaine has one effect, not on entry, so she doesn't do anything the turn you play her, unlike this guy. And then she has an effect that isn't even when she quests, so she can't progress your win condition, and her effect is more conditional. His is just play any item for free. No restriction on that. No, it has to be 2 or less, 1 cost, 3 or less. It can be any item. So cool, lucky dime. Most cracked item in the game, played for free, no big deal. Do it repeatedly. And then if he sticks around, he will continue to do that turn after turn after turn as he quests. He doesn't have to exert like Tremaine, who then has an effect that, well, you have to hit a damage character to their hand. This is not, oh, this is a chapter 1 card and this is an Archazia's Island card. These are in the same set. The same set. And this is why these Sapphire decks are absolutely absurd. Who thought this was a good idea? All right, thanks for that tangent, Baloo. Here's our other legendary, Ratigan, who I always just refer to as Worst Shark, because he is Worst Shark. Yes, Shark's a little more expensive, but for that little more expensive, you get way better stats. You get lore anytime you use an action. He doesn't even have to be exerted. This character has to, again, sit there a whole turn, then exert, and then use an action. What action is he benefiting from? Friends? I mean, that's kind of a cool idea that Friends suddenly has 1 lore attached to it, but that's it, 1 lore? Or the Dragonfire? Like, yeah, okay, again, I'll admit, is there technically potential here? Yeah, that if he can stick around and then suddenly your Dragonfire is clearing the board. But for a 3/3, I'm not feeling that a Scrooge can then just run into. I mean, I think there's a reason you haven't seen Ratigan in any lists. He's worst shark. Sir K, we've had cards like this forever. A 2-cost, 2/2, quest for 2. I love the questing for 2, but it gets banished by Storm Rage on, so that's not really effective. I would rather have the Cusco. If I can guarantee this guy's going to stick around and get me 2 lore, okay, maybe that helps our lore game plan, but I'd rather have the Cusco, which is going to guarantee me a card draw. Milo, when you play an action, you can give chosen character +2 strength this turn. So he's understat. He's the stats of a 1-cost. What am I playing my Milo on 2, and then I'm hard casting Friends on 3 to buff him to +2? Again, I won't deny technically potential, right? Because okay, well, if they got a Scrooge out, he can then run into the Scrooge. He could trade with the Bell, so that's not awful, but that's very specific. I mean, granted, we do have 2 good cost actions at 3. We've got Brawl, we've got Friends, so I'll give this one potential, but again, there's a reason you're not seeing anyone running this. That's a very specific line, and he can still get taken out by a Storm Rage on, which is very relevant right now. Edgar is, for some reason, just Maui without the text, so yeah, no thanks there. We've got company. Ready all your characters to gain Reckless. I mean, I kind of like the idea of questing with, my goat or my queen. Technically, it kind of fits the queen, right? Because you could ready her. Reckless just means she has to challenge if able, and she can't quest. Well, queen doesn't need to quest, so in theory, this could work well with queen. But there are other cards that ready our characters, specifically like LeFou. So if we're going to do that, we'd rather play the inkable LeFou over the uninkable We've Got Company. So yeah, just not worth it. Out of order, I mean, this card right here defines why we're struggling, right? That this is what I don't understand why they overcost all the removal in this game. Why is this the same cost as Be Prepared? Why is this a more expensive Dragonfire? I told you earlier, Dragonfire, while good in the right situation, is still pretty bad removal overall and doesn't feel good to use. And they want me to wait 2 more turns? Remember, we can't ramp in this list. I have to wait 2 more turns to take out 1 character on the same turn as Be Prepared. What are we doing here? Genuinely, what are we doing? Ruby Coil. Anytime a card is put in your Inkwell, chosen character is +2. Honestly, this is okay. This is not bad. It's inkable, thank goodness. It gives us a lot of challenging power. It doesn't help when we're trying to be the faster one. And you kind of have to be the faster one when these decks have the Lucky Dime advantage. But I like the idea that you could power up your Cusco. Power him up +2, suddenly the Cusco hits. The Diablo suddenly hits for 2. Again, kind of the issue is just what are the targets? You could take out Oswald. You can't take out Bell with that. You can't take out Pete. I do like the idea of a Fox. Being able to take out a Flaversham. Taking out a Hiram Flaversham for 6. You ink, and then you get the Fox out there. So, you know what? Ruby Coil, reading it, trying to talk myself into it, I actually think there could be potential here. Will that 2 damage be enough? Could it be enough to make the difference? Do we need it over Crab? I don't know about that. But maybe. And maybe having Maui. Maybe having Maui that he hits for 8. I don't know what you need to hit for 8 all of a sudden. Or the Goat hitting for 6. So the Goat can take out Flaversham on his own. Or this Sisu hits even harder. Or a Rabbit hits for 4 and a Rabbit can trade with a Scrooge. Okay. Of all the cards we've seen, I actually think maybe there is something here with Ruby Coil. This card might be worth trying out. Let's give this one a try. I'm willing to try that one. Unconventional tool. Again, we don't play items. Devil's Eye Diamond. I like the instant lore aspect, but they have to get damage. Specifically, that's very specific. I would rather actually take the risk, play the 3-cost uninkable spellbook back from set 2, which is just, I can guarantee get the lore every turn. So, neat idea, but yeah. And those are all the Ruby and Amethyst cards from set 7. As you can see, I don't think there's a hero coming to save us. There's not a lot going on here. There's a few cards here and there, like Panic, that have potential. But the only 2 cards I felt legit, hey, maybe there's actually something here. It's the Queen, which I've already been high on because the effect is clearly good. And the Ruby Coil. The Ruby Coil actually seems potentially worth exploring. I would have to see enough situations to know if that's worth it. So this is just kind of the state we're in right now. It doesn't look good. It doesn't look great. And I get it. I know some people are fine with that. It's like, hey man, Ruby Amethyst was on top for a long time. And it was very powerful for a long time. But again, I will reiterate, I understand if this deck was frustrating to play against, because yes, I do think the Merlin Mim package can be pretty unfair. However, this deck does fairly pay for everything it does. It is not cheating and putting out a bunch of free cards like these Sapphire decks are, or like Steel Song always has with its singing effect. So if you saw something in here that you thought, man, maybe I underrated it and it really stood out, please let me know, because I would absolutely love some answers. But at least looking specifically at the new set, it doesn't look like there is a lot to work with. If you enjoyed this video, please give a like and subscribe to the channel. We are closing in on 2,000 subs, and your help can get us there. Check out the description of the video for links to our Medify page, where I offer private coaching, and consider becoming a patron or YouTube member for exclusive bonuses. Thanks so much for watching, and until next time, take care.